Women world over are making giant strides in the shipping and maritime business, dominated by men. However, the ratio of women to men in the industry is still a far cry, which needs to be addressed by various governments, organizations, and stakeholders in the industry. The Nigerian Chamber of Shipping recently organized a one-day Women in Shipping and Maritime Conference tagged "The Future of Shipping, Weathering the Storms, Sailing High" at the Lagos Oriental Hotel, Victoria Island, Lagos on Tuesday, 19th July 2022. Industry experts were drawn from world-class maritime organizations and institutions within and outside the country for the presentation and to discuss the theme based on recent trends in the maritime industry. As the conference brief immediately kicked off by a seasoned maritime lawyer in the person of Jean Chiazo Anishere San.
It is with great pleasure that I welcome you to the Nigerian Chamber of Shipping, I thank you for being here. The Nigerian Chamber of Shipping Women in Maritime and Shipping Conference. My sincere appreciation goes to Madam Despina and Dr. Cleopatra for honoring our invitation to speak on the topic for today's conference, the future of shipping, weathering the storms, sailing high, despite very busy schedules. This topic, the topic of today's meeting, couldn't be more apt, given the burning need for women in maritime to evaluate their importance in view of the recent developments in the global maritime and shipping industry. This conference was organized in line with the UN Sustainable Development Goal 5, which seeks to achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. It also seeks to share insights into the ongoing disruptions in the global shipping industry, especially in the post-COVID era. You will agree with me that COVID had a profound impact on the world economy, and the world of shipping obviously has had its own share of it. The first IMO International Day for Women in Maritime was celebrated on the 18th of May 2022. The celebration was to recognize the brilliant talents and skills of female maritime professionals all over the world. This brilliant initiative by IMO is to see to the strengthening of its commitment to the 5th Sustainable Development Goal 5 of gender equality, which while addressing gender imbalances in maritime. This year's celebration was centered on 3 concepts: training, visibility, recognition, which summarizes the basis of today's conference theme, the future of shipping, weathering the storms, sailing high. As maritime and shipping industry cruises into a new era of modernization, coupled with IMO's commitment on gender inclusivity, it has become imperative for women to position themselves to embrace the new narrative and brace up for the imminent challenges and opportunities of the future of shipping.
Now, the theme for this conference is the future of shipping, weathering the storm, sailing high. Now, for those who are coming into this industry, newcomers in the industry, one may ask, what is the significance of shipping? What is the relevance of shipping? Why shipping? Why do we want to secure its future? Now, charity, they say, begins from home. So let's start from Nigeria. Economists and financial analysts have postulated that Nigeria's GDP, the country's GDP, in the past decade, has been 90% and hugely dependent on sea trade. And of course, we all know that 90% of the world trade is by sea, and so the shipping industry is a major benefactor to our country's economy. Shipping accounts for over 85% of the national external trade. Now, when we go to Asia, and we use Singapore as a template, Singapore commands a strategic position as a maritime hub in the regional and global arena. In the words of the head of the Baltic Exchange in Asia, Mr. Lu Sing, the maritime industry, I quote, says, "The maritime industry is and will remain a big contributor to Singapore's economy, and it is therefore important that we continue to innovate and invest in this sector to achieve long-term success, unquote. In the United Kingdom, the shipping industry has been an important contributor to the United Kingdom's economy. Over the centuries, the United Kingdom depends wholly on the shipping trade. In 2021, the United Kingdom was ranked 10th in the world fleet. And in economic terms, shipping accounts for 95% of UK's exports and imports. So you see, the shipping industry is sine qua non to life. The wider maritime sector in the United Kingdom also approximately has over £10 billion, and over 20,000 jobs are rolled out yearly in the United Kingdom. Kudos to the shipping industry. But for us to weather the storm and to sail high, we must ensure that we are seen, we are visible in the industry. We must ensure that we attain and achieve the requisite knowledge and skills, as we're doing today, that will actually give us the leverage to participate in the maritime space. We must ensure that we come aboard the maritime industry. We must ensure that we appreciate the laudable ideals of the International Maritime Organization, the African Union, and the Nigerian Chamber of Shipping, and many other laudable organizations towards supporting, empowering women in maritime, to ensuring that we occupy the space. We are visible because women can do it better in the maritime industry.
The first plenary session kicked off immediately with a presentation from the President of Women in Shipping and Trading Association, WISTA International, in the person of Despina Panayotou Theodosio, followed by contributions from other panelists.
Today, WISTA is an equal member in international shipping due to numerous and determined efforts, and I would like to highlight few achievements and initiatives. In July 2018, the IMO approved WISTA International's application for consultative status, thus allowing the organization the opportunity to promote diversity and professional inclusivity. In January 2020, we signed an MOU with the IMO with the aim of establishing technical cooperation and the continuous promotion of diversity through enhanced and coordinated actions in shipping. We see it as growth, and we're willing to help to the best of our ability to spread the message and increase awareness. This is a message that I can convey to women who have chosen the shipping industry for their career, and at the same time assure them that they have acquired strong allies, not only with women's professional organizations and networks such as WISTA, but also with national entities that support women in the workplace, like the Nigerian Shipping Chamber, or international organizations, notably the IMO.
It is my great pleasure and honor to be here, and I commend the Nigerian Chamber of Shipping for organizing this event. I am equally excited that the WISTA International President, Despina Panayotou, is on ground as a speaker to espouse and share our association's perspective on this very important discourse. The ongoing disruptions in the global shipping industry, especially in the post-COVID era, is a very critical aspect of our industry and cannot be overlooked, especially as it concerns industry women. The measurement of the sector's progress cannot be complete without women lending their voice to the opportunities, progress, successes, and challenges in the post-COVID shipping era. I therefore thank the organizers of this conference for their thoughtfulness in providing this platform to share insights and perspectives on this subject matter. This engagement could not have come at a better time than now, when the government and all relevant industry shareholders are desirous of building a sustainable maritime and shipping industry. As we are aware, shipping played a pivotal role during the COVID-19 pandemic in ensuring that the global logistic chain and functioning continued without disruptions. As the virus ravaged the various industries around the world, shipping industry was no exception. How the industry responded to the crisis and simultaneously reset its responsibility is not an easy feat. The global battle for shipping companies to remain afloat post-COVID-19 comes with a great sacrifice on the part of the industry practitioners and seafarers. We greatly commend them. Consequently, the shipping industry seems to have merged the lessons and effects of COVID-19 era in integrating crisis management and strategic communication, corporate and responsibility, emergency response strategies, as well as maritime management to weather the storm and continue sailing. This is also not an easy feat. The maritime and shipping industry presents great opportunity for economic rebirth of the potentials of the blue economy, and if it is unleashed and properly harnessed to stem the effect of unforeseen crises such as the COVID-19. The blue economy, which is the effective use of the country's seas and oceans to achieve economic development, confers unimaginable advantages to any coastal state. Therefore, each coastal nation must seek for economic diversification because global maritime transport worldwide has been and still remains a very important catalyst for economic development of the nation state, while still supporting the development and growth of other related areas. Through diversification, the industry and the nation will benefit and shore up their earning capacity and national economy. Therefore, on behalf of Mr. Nigeria, I wish you all and all of us happy deliberations.
The conference, which was divided into 2 plenary sessions, gave the audience the opportunity to participate in the discussion, as the first plenary session witnessed an array of questions from the physical and virtual audience to the panelists who did justice to them.
Kindly speak to us this morning on leveraging technological disruptions to improve port operations and logistics. She is an expert as far as port operations are concerned, and we have listened to the perspective from ship ownership to maritime business, and of course Dr. Emeka speaking on trade challenges. We're now going to look into port operation challenges and of course the opportunities there.
Maritime is an international business linking up different countries of the world in terms of international trade. And everybody that works in a port is a representative of the port, of the country in which the port is situated. And we deal with ships from different countries. And the port is a place where 2 countries stay side by side to do business. The ship is a different country, and the port and the shore is a different country as well. So we regard all port workers as ambassadors because we're interacting with the international community. Having said that, also, for us to be on the same place, on the same level with other countries in terms of technological infrastructures and developments, we must strive to also develop technologically. We must also strive to encourage diversity in that growth and in that training of our people, both men and women. The Spinner said, if it is only men, where is the diversity? If it is only women, where is the diversity? We are talking of diversity of both men and women. In a vessel, in a ship, we have seafarers, including men and women. Then in port operation, we also have a community of stakeholders. In a port operation, you have the customs of the country, you have the port authority of the country, you have the master, that is the administration of the vessel ships, you have the shipping companies, you have the freight forwarders, you have the logistics, other logistics companies, from transporters, haulers, and terminal operators. There is a huge maritime lawyers, bankers, insurance operators. All these are the stakeholders that make up the port community. And all these stakeholders have one objective: to make carriage operation, discharge, ship operation, delivery operation, storage operation, and delivery operation to be seamless, because shipping and port operation are divided into 4 major categories. The ship operation is the discharge and loading. Storage operation is the transfer from the vessel to the key apron to the warehouse. And delivery operation is delivery to the owner or the consignee. So these are the stages of operation. And each of these stages have different people, a whole lot of people that take care of them. Before cargo is cleared, customs have a role to play. Freight forwarders, shipping companies, haulers, the transportation, the rail, the sea, the barges, all these are a group of people that their target is to make sure this cargo is delivered. And for Nigeria to be on the same platform with other countries, we have to apply technology.
So we'd like to know, what do you think the opportunities? I mean, Madam Despina has mentioned various opportunities that women have because of what technology has done. But I want you, sir, to kindly take that a notch higher in terms of the opportunities that the African Continental Free Trade Area brings into the maritime space. So
I'd like to proceed on my discussion without necessarily focusing on women, but focusing on broad opportunities which women and men, young people, anybody can key into. And the spirit, I believe, the learned self, I'm sure you'll agree with me, that in the context and in the broad interplay of issues which relate to women within the space of the professional sector, women should be seen for what they can offer and not because they are women. And I say that very, very deliberately. So the question which you've asked, opportunities which around the maritime sector as far as the African Continental Free Trade Area is concerned. Now, there are quite a range of them. However, I think that a lot of these opportunities need context. So, you know, the background I'll give first of all is start flowing from the fundamental principles of the African Continental Free Trade Area. And these fundamental principles, a lot of them, they're quite diverse, captured in the preamble to the agreement and in the general objectives and in the specific objectives in Articles 3 and 4. But I'd just like to note one or two. Now, these are, the agreement is focused on ensuring that the markets across the continent are liberalized. That's a broad focus. So they want a continental market with free movement of persons, capital, goods and service. So it's important to know that. It seeks to achieve deeper economic integration across the continent. Then of course an expanded and secure market for goods and services of state parties. So these are just some of the fundamental concepts which undergird the agreements. Now, within this context and coming into shipping, what are the challenges? Because I believe that in identifying opportunities, in fact, it's a truism everywhere, that the best place to find opportunities are within the context of challenges.
Now, we know that in Nigeria, we have the port concession. What would you say the government should do now that they're trying to review the concessioning agreements with the concessionaires? Shouldn't the government talk about having these concessionaires ensure that these facilities that you have enumerated are built in towards developing our seaports?
We must know that the ports in Nigeria are not really autonomous. They don't even take decisions and carry out, implement decisions. It has to go to the government. So, in effect, government of the day owns the port. Any government of the day owns the port. And to get approval to do anything in the port, you have to get approval from the government of the day. And not just like that, it has to go through the rigors of the FED and everything. So, to make any meaningful development in the port industry in Nigeria takes time, and it has a lot of rigors. The terminal operators cannot do that alone. To bring the port to smart level and autonomous level, all the stakeholders must join hands together. They must collaborate. They must have the same vision and the same mission to make the port a smart port. With a situation where what is obtaining now, every stakeholder is working in silos. The customs does not cooperate with the NAFDAC. The NAFDAC will not cooperate with the Ports Authority. Everybody wants to be physically in the port. Freight forwarders are not very transparent in what they are doing. Shipping companies see the customs as their enemy. Nobody wants to be transparent, and there is no clear mandate in functions. The NEMASA, the Ports Authority, the Navy, they all claim to be wreck remover, but the wrecks are not removed. And there is that some of the gray areas that needs to government needs to give clarity so that each stakeholder let us have one vision, and that vision is to make our port smart and to have a seamless ease of doing businesses in our ports, because we are dealing with outside the world and they are not waiting for us. Everybody is moving forward, and we must toe the line to be able to be on the same level with other international ports.
But how does the end user, who is the actual and the greatest stakeholder in the use of the port facilities, how does this end user ensure investment in new technologies that can drive either a smart port or even green shipping? What can they actually do to either move the hand of government or move the hand of concessionaires to get the results that we desire?
When an organization or an association or a system or women, this is an opportunity because this is the future. The future is really technology. If a package or an app or a system can be developed, I am sure that port operators, terminal operators, the government will buy into it and encourage for it to be, as soon as it will be mandated that everybody working in the port, you have to key in. You have to key in. And government is just there. It is you and I. It is the people that use the port, the people that do business in the ports. The people, the private people, businessmen, these are the people that have to come in to develop, to deploy all these technologies and then sell it to the ports, the government of the day. And other stakeholders will be mandated to key in so that our ports can become useful and also attractive to international maritime business practitioners to use, so that we don't have to go into Cotonou or Togo to carry our cargo or land there and then use trucks to truck in. When we are a coastal state, we have the population, we have the capacity, we have the know-how, and we also have brilliant women that can also key into this to leverage on the opportunities that are available in these technological breakthroughs.
The active participation of women in the industry is bedeviled by various factors, which industry experts believe must give way in the 21st century, as deliberate efforts should be made by all concerned to ensure that women are encouraged to take up careers in the industry and also be given the chance to prove their mettle. That was the focus of the second plenary session.
The maritime sector continues to be
one of the most underrepresented sectors for women. When the International Maritime Organization made an estimation of women seafarers in 1992, 1 or 2% of the total seafaring population were women. In 2003, that is 13 years later, I commissioned, while I was at the International Labour Organization, a major study which estimated that the percentage of women in maritime was still between 1 and 2%. Women seafarers on cargo ships were even less, 0.12%. According to the 2021 BIMCO ICS Seafarer Workforce Report, women represent only 1.2% of the global seafarer workforce. As the figures show, not much progress has been made. And with the pandemic, which we have all experienced, it is quite possible that the number of women in maritime has fallen. I am currently preparing to launch a major study, that's another one, a new study, on women in maritime. Despite the persistence of gender inequality, female champions, role models, and success stories exist, and we saw that today with Despina, in every sector of maritime and ocean communities. The good thing is that we have a growing number of women, and I see a number of you on the screen. And all of us, of course, working in land-based activities. We have women in shipping business, which is great. Despina is a good model. And some of whom are owners and managers of shipping companies. We have women CEOs in senior management and in ports. Unfortunately, the numbers are still very low. What about women seafarers? Women in oceans and marine science, women in fishing and seafood harvesting. We should never forget this. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development requires transformative shifts, integrated approaches, and new solutions. This is particularly important in advancing gender equality and empowering all women and girls. It is obvious that existing interventions will not suffice to achieve a planet 50-50 by 2030. So 50% men, 50% women by 2030. We're not going to get there. Despite the persistence of gender inequality, female champions, role models, and success stories exist, and we saw that today with Despina, in every sector of maritime and ocean communities.
I have the privilege of having sent Nigerian students, officers and men of the Navy, as it were, including when I was on the board of NIMASA, to go and train first a master's degree in that university. And that is because we understood the need to develop that requisite capacity. Unfortunately, of all the people that went, only one was a woman. And that lady today is the Director of Legal Services in the Nigerian Navy, Commodore Malafa. I sent her to the university to do a master's. So we understood this, as it were. But the point is this, importantly as it is, the Nigerian society will still suffer from what I call sea blindness. In other words, we do not appreciate the enormity of the potential that our maritime space holds in our economic prosperity and development. Until we understand it and begin to accord that sector the desired priority, we probably will not be able to achieve these goals. But we're taking the strides that we need and making sure that we create that awareness that is important. Today, I can see that this gathering is all more of women, understandably so, because it's about women, that is the theme. But I also think that some policy drivers who will understand what we're talking about here, that will give impetus to the takeaways from here, should have been invited to be part of this process. Otherwise, it will just be a talk shop, as far as I'm concerned. So we need to develop that particular aspect in all our effort to create the desired capacity to build better as a country. Having said that, the challenge of green economy or blue economy, these are new concepts that are making waves today. And that is because we have a responsibility to change the dynamics of how we do business. In the past, what we have done as a people is that we have created a lot of contraptions due to our actions or inactions, both how we manage our resources, human and material. And we've created a lot of very high carbon prints that is causing us so much stress as a people. So when we talk about green economy, is that we want to do something differently by creating a more sustainable environment that is eco-friendly, of course, including social justice, and allowing for the well-being of the people, that will reduce the carbon print in the global environment so that we can mitigate the issues of climate change and global warming. This is what green economy is talking about. The issue of green economy is being spearheaded by United Nations through its agency, United Nations Environmental Program, who in its entirety have decided that the future is now, that we must do things in a more sustainable manner to accommodate the required imperatives that we need to ensure that we have a cleaner environment that is devoid of the challenges of our high carbon prints as it is today.
It's good to talk about what the opportunities are, but we also have to consider why we do not have a lot of women uptaking in the seafaring technical aspect of the maritime industry. And it's three-pronged. So there's a place for government, there's a place for private sector, and there's a place for individual. So the company, what are your policies? Do you have an enabling environment for women to thrive, to actually seek those opportunities within the organization? Are there business opportunities for companies? So if we didn't have 12 ships or we had only one ship, we would be very limited in terms of what we could provide or how we could support more women coming into the industry. So as the opportunities are not being created or as they're shrinking and blue oceans are not being explored, then we're finding that opportunities to give platforms for women to participate are also shrinking. From the individual perspective, there's the aspect of society. So women start off and they see the journey ahead. It's long and it's tough and it's a hard terrain, and they give up either due to societal pressure or influence from family members who do not understand. So there's a lot of ignorance as to what the maritime industry is about, what the shipping industry is about. Is it a place for women? Do you see others of the kind there? What about getting married? What about having children? And so on. Many of them end up falling by the wayside and seeking other opportunities in other sectors, thereby leaving the continue to lay that gap as far as increasing gender participation in the industry is concerned.
Just like the first plenary session, the second session was extremely interactive as participants engaged the panelists and keynote speaker in a question and answer session.
Are you thinking of having an institution or be an institution yourself? Albeit a lecturer or a consultant for the purpose of empowering women in maritime and shipping.
Governance in civilized democracies, and I want to think that Nigeria is one of those, is a continuum. If the policies are right, and if those policies are codified and given legitimacy by parliamentary processes. What do I mean? I'll give an example. I recall in this country, many, many years ago when I was a young boy growing up, there was this sing-song we used to hear, National Development Road Plan, which meant that there is a structured process to articulate how you want to grow as a country and develop the very relevant imperatives that will be your pillar to growth. Now, all of that suddenly waned. Nobody's talking about it anymore. And that is why we've had policy inconsistencies in this country. Because Mr. A comes, he thinks what is important is how to take care of his own business, regardless of the generality of the interest of the people, which is codified in Chapter 2 of the Constitution of this country, under the fundamental objectives and directive principles of state policy, that says that the well-being of the people is the essence of governance. So if we understand that, then it means that every action we take at every step must be guided by legislative principles codified as law.
Obviously, at that time, it appears that there was no deliberate effort or intention to train women in the Navy in the particular aspects that the World Maritime University provided. And as for Iro, I'd like to ask whether you can kindly share with us the motivation behind STARS deliberately reserving spaces for women. I mean, STARS is a private company, but we can see from what happens at STARS that there is a deliberate effort to support the training of women. My question is, how can STARS encourage other private companies to support this kind of effort? And what is it that drives STARS to take this deliberate position, which is something that, it's a kind of position that governments usually take? What drives STARS to take that position, and how can they encourage other companies in Nigeria to do the same?
There's an African proverb that I'm sure we're very familiar with that says, if you educate a man, you educate an individual. But if you educate a woman, you educate a nation. And in the last decade, we've seen the conversation around creating opportunities for women, pushing the SDG goal number 5, gender equality, really coming to bear and coming to the forefront in a lot of conversation. And there have been a few women who have blazed the trail, who have gone ahead of us, who have managed to break the barriers, break the limitations, to show that it's possible, to show that they're competent women. And there have been a few he for she's who have equally made that possible, created the platform, created the pathway for women to actually thrive, excel, and progress, whether it will be in career, whether it be in business, be it in whatever profession they've chosen to be in. We mentioned their names in boardrooms, mentioned their names in banking halls, mentioned their names in nightclubs that have led to big deals being closed. As a company, for me, having been one of those women who have been privileged to have a platform that I can make decisions, I can influence the direction that a company goes in terms of how she treats or she approaches gender equality. I see it as an honor to ensure that during my time in STARS, at the helm of affairs, that there is an intentional and deliberate action to hold that ladder firmly in place for more women to climb up, for more women to feel safe in the workplace, for more women to see an environment where that is supposedly male-dominated, but has room for women to also succeed and thrive. I see it as a thing of pride, and I had managed to bring my dad, our board of directors on board, and even members of my management team. When we go forward for the leadership training program cycle, they already know the drill. They don't need to ask. They already know that, where are my women? Where are my women? And the typical question of where are the women, which is the first question I got in the last 2 years when I began to drive this gender equality, was intentional, was deliberate about making sure that there are more women participating in leadership. It was a case of when do we find it? Because when you advertise, you have almost a 99% application from men. and 1% from women. How do we reach these women? How do they know that we're a company of choice that they can come to and get trained? And so we began to seek, and I must give credit to a young lady who works for NLG. Her name is Connie. Connie has, I'm sure I don't know if she's here, and I hope she gets to hear this. She did a fantastic job. She's an ex-seafarer in trying to group all the women, female cadets, female officers in one place, trying to give them a platform where they could network, they could collaborate, they could engage, like a support group. And then companies like ours, who are deliberate about looking for female seafarers, female officers, female maritime and professionals who work in our organizations, we can go there and we can find a resource pool. And she's done a fantastic job trying to structure that. And I think that my company works with her association whenever we want to reach out for female seafarers. We're able to draw from our pool of the female seafarers she's put together. So I think it's just that leadership commitment, leadership vision, and understanding of the importance that if I'm training a woman, if I'm giving a woman opportunity, I'm a woman, and I know that I have been a transformative leader in my organization. I can only imagine what this woman would do on board my ships and ships of other people. I can only imagine the kind of transformation that they will bring to companies, even to our industry. So why not give them an intentional opportunity? And that is what motivates.
How do you advise or encourage women that are on their own or will not have any form of sponsorship to take advantage? Women that are thirsty for knowledge, women that want to also play at the global level.
Certainly with respect to WNU fellowship program, we have a very important fellowship program funded by our donors. And our donors have been extremely understanding and outgoing. And it is because of our donors that we are able to bring so many of our, incredible, well-educated men and women to WNU to pursue a master's degree in maritime affairs. Of course, it's important for us to keep those donors on board, but as I say, they are the biggest contributor that we have that enables men and women, and particularly, of course, since I joined WNU, I have a great priority on women because the number of women before was so very limited. So I have prioritized women as much as possible, as long as they can, submit the relevant information and, of course, meet the requirements to be able to pursue a master's degree in maritime affairs. This is a passion for me. This is something that I am seeking to do. And what is extremely important, and that's why I would also support, students that would come to us for the postgraduate program in maritime affairs. I am already very pleased that the government your government, is already funding through NIMASA, is already funding a number of fellowships. So we always add to the number that they send, we add a number of others who are not able themselves to obtain the fellowships provided by NIMASA. So clearly, it's not just NIMASA, but we also ensure that those students they sign on and meet the requirements and are also funded by our donors. In fact, our biggest donor is the Nippon Foundation. They give 35 fellowships a year, and it is on basis of that that I'm able to reallocate some of those fellowships. Certainly, for countries like Nigeria is providing, I also seek to support that program as well, funded by our other donors, to also support that other part, especially because we always have a lot of students that are applying to provide to undertake the master's degree. So clearly, this is an area for me that, especially if the government is already providing some support, it is also extremely important for me that I also match that with where there are students that meet the requirements to pursue a master's degree but cannot afford to do it on their own. So this is important for us, and it will continue to remain important. I say Nigeria is an important partner for us, and it's a priority for me to also provide along with additional fellowships where we have, of course, qualified students.
Industry experts and stakeholders presented their goodwill messages to collaborate the theme of discussion, which is believed to be timely on recent trends in the maritime industry.
Women in maritime, we are the custodian of these women that you're looking for, these seafarers, these maritime operations, persons, and other profession, diverse profession in the maritime industry. And I want to use this opportunity to tell Iro that we have been trying to reach her and we know what they are doing. And so we want to also go into partnership with them so that whenever you need any position or you want to make any advert, you send it to us or myself and we'll put it on the platform. As a matter of fact, if you deal with women in maritime, then you are sure of getting accredited and well professional placed women.
The pioneer Director General of the Nigerian Chamber of Shipping, in the person of Mrs. Ife Akerile, wrapped up the conference and gave profound thanks to the president of WISTA International, while Jean Chiazo Anishere San profoundly thanked the president of the World Maritime University for their contributions.
In all, everything today has made it clear that women have risen up. We can do it. That's what Dr. Cleopatra said. That's what everyone who came on this platform said. And the he for she as well said it. We can do it. So we that started off in the early 2000s, late 90s, all of us, I must mention that Mrs. Astro was meant to be on this platform, but she was unavoidably absent and lending weight. But she's also another woman that we all need to emulate. She's a private sector person that supports everything concerning women. So I'm so happy and grateful as a member of the Chamber of Shipping. I'm so happy that we have a competent person driving it. I want to congratulate you, Vivian, for what you're doing. I thank for your humility. This is the way for success. So everything I've listed here, I'm sure you all make notes. Take it away as your giveaway from today. Of course, there'll be follow-ups, and there'll be many more of this. It doesn't stop you from fellowshipping. God bless you all. Thank you.
Women are indeed the future of the maritime and shipping industry. Therefore, all hands need to be on deck to weather the storms in order to enable the industry sail high.